Good morning, everyone. Dan here, and seems that on Good Morning America this morning they dropped a quick clip of tonight's episode, or tomorrow morning's episode of WandaVision, the 7th episode. And where they haven't done that much before, I thought I'd get on here and share it and give my thoughts on it. So we're going to watch it real quick together, and then I'll tell you what I think. Also, got a new theory. I don't know if it's got any real traction, but I'll throw it out there just for the fun of it. So, all right, here we go with the clip from Good Morning America.
Mom, are you coming down soon? Mom, our dam is freaking out. Is she asleep?
Mommy's not sleeping, honey. She's just resting her eyes.
Mom, my head feels weird. It's like really noisy. I don't like it.
Resting her eyes. As punishment for my reckless evening, I plan on taking a quarantine-style staycation. A whole day. Just to myself. That'll show me.
Must have been a good night. Yeah, the next episode of WandaVision debuts tomorrow.
Okay, I like Michael Strahan at the end there. Should just leave him right there. Just right there. Look at that look on his face. So I think that's the look we all have when we watch WandaVision. All right, so what we can take away from this is we have definitely moved into current time. That is very Modern Family, with the sitting there talking to the camera, the musical notes, the feel of it. Very Modern Family, including the couch, I think. If you take a look at the couch. Yeah, that looks like the couch from Modern Family. I mean, so I think we're definitely moving forward. I think this is going to pick up like immediately after last episode, which is what they've been doing. I mean, we have to keep in mind that the entire series is taking place over a course of just a couple days. And even though we're making these huge time jumps, they're not really time jumps. They're reality jumps is a better way to put it. And yeah, she's just moving this along like crazy. So I think this is exactly after. I mean, she even says she's going to, punish herself for what she had done the night before, which, expanding the hex is pretty big. She's still in her costume, which I thought was pretty funny. But I don't think we really pick up that much more. We see the kids, the game controllers go through the different eras all the way back to Uno and the Atari 2600. I grew up on that one. That was my first game console. So it's interesting how that's going to work. I think this is also a sign that reality, she's losing control of the reality. We've seen more clips of that during the previews and stuff, where just pieces of the house start changing and flipping around. So I still think this is going to be the last episode with the sitcom format, and it may not last the whole episode. There's a lot of questions on how long it's going to be. There's a rumor that it's supposed to be 38 minutes, which is a little longer than others, but not by much. There's a lot of people thought they would all be like hour-long episodes because of something Matt Shackman, I think it's Shackman, said that WandaVision was basically 6 hours of television, and we've only gotten like a little over 3 so far if you combine. I had the numbers here. I don't remember what I did with them. Let's see. No, I put them somewhere and then misplaced them. but we had the numbers, and it was like there would have been 2 hours and 41 minutes left of 6 hours. And I mean, I'm sure that's not exact, but that would give you a good 38-minute episode and maybe 2 1-hour episodes from what I've seen. At least me doing the math. So we'll see how that works out. The quarantine style staycation, makes me think this episode or that episode was filmed during the quarantine. And then is Wanda acknowledging the quarantine? Or just a different quarantine altogether, a different pandemic, not for the pandemic, but that's kind of interesting too. I think we're going to find out more stuff with Billy. His headache got kind of glossed over, but I think that's pretty big. Maybe he's tapping into all the minds of the people who are being suppressed. Maybe all the minds of the new sword agents. Could be, So that's the episode. I did notice that the Hex theme continues. If you look at Wanda's bed spread, it's hexes, but her pillow isn't. But you'll notice that Vision's pillow is. Also, the bed seems smaller. Doesn't seem like a king-size bed at that point. And you'll notice that Vision isn't there. Did he not come home? Is he still out in the field somewhere? Or did he not come home because he didn't want to come home? Yeah. It's going to be an interesting episode. This show is just going all kinds of weird places. But yeah, Vision's not there. The kids are dressed in outfits similar to their comic book costumes. Tommy's in green and white, which his costume is. Billy is in red, black, and he wears that blue headband thing. So, the band on the shirt kind of gives that. So they're definitely pushing us in that direction. There's been a lot of rumor or a lot of speculation on what's going to happen to these kids. I think we won't know for sure until the last minute. I think this is not going to give us a lot of, advance warning. We're just going to boom, that's what's happening type of thing. It may just be the way the series ends, sets a new normal for the MCU, or at least for these characters. Now, on to my weird theory. Oh, and of course we have the whole breaking the fourth wall thing, which we've seen in clips a lot with the, just a case of the Mondays. So it's definitely Modern Family. But so the theory, we're going to go on to the new theory. So if you don't like wild ass theories, then this is time to step out. But the wild theory that I came up with talking to my nephew last night has to do with the hex itself and the people in it. First thing is, there's been a lot of speculation that, there's two levels of hex. There's, Norm was completely involved or enveloped by the spell, where Herb and Agnes have been able to kind of step out of it. I don't think that's the case, or at least my theory is that basically all these people have their programming. They've been given this role to play, and as long as they can stay in that role, there's no problems. Yeah, I've heard a couple people mention Mojo Lee, and Mojo. I think Mojo would fit this scenario. The problem is we've had no setup for Mojo. We're 7 episodes. We're going to be 7 episodes in, and to suddenly throw a Mojo type character in there seems to be a real wild thing. Just absolutely out of the blue. So I won't say there's no way. I think that's possible, but it doesn't feel true to the show at this point. Plus, Mojo's such a big part of the X-Men universe, and we've barely established any of that. The closest we've got is Evan Peters, and I don't even know if Evan Peters is going to be in the next episode. So, all right. So the theory is, again, that everybody in Westview has a programming, and as long as they can keep to the programming, it goes fine. When something goes outside the programming, it's like a computer throwing an error code. They turn to Wanda going, do you need something fixed? Do you need it changed? So they recognize her as the central of it, but it's not that they're at different levels. Norm didn't have anything that broke protocol for him, didn't break his programming. Yeah, that email came in, but everybody just, oh, it's something from the outside. It must be, it's just a joke. That could be built into their programming, where Vision acting out of character, acting out of his programming or his role is what popped both Herb and Agnes out of character. Wanda or Agnes was supposed to come in and play with the kids, and Vision's the one that threw it off, and then Agnes had to get new direction. Vision was supposed to be with Wanda that night, trick-or-treating with the kids. He called an audible and is off exploring. It threw Herb off because Vision. So it seems that the only time they come out of their programming is when something is out of the ordinary. And in this case, it's something Vision's doing. Vision didn't do anything in the Norm situation until he brought him out of his trance, or out of the control, in which case he spoke freely, but then he put him back. So I think there really isn't different levels. I think they're all being controlled. It's just, how do they deal with somebody going off script or off program? Which led me to my next thought, and this is the big theory, is what if Wanda didn't create the Hex? What if everybody in there is put in there because it's, how do I put this? Like a prison. What if Westview, New Jersey has been turned into a place to store scrolls? What if that's, they basically have kind of a central setup that dictates, this is your new life. You become this person and you act and, whatnot. And there's some force that is controlling them to act a certain way. And for some reason, Wanda ends up dropping into this. And when doing so, becomes affected by it, but also likes it enough that when she can break out of it, when things force her to snap out of it, she willingly goes back in because it creates this fantasy world for her. And, so that's why the shield went from blue to red when she took control of it. It's, like I said, it's a wild ass theory, but to me, what I could see Sword or somebody collecting scrolls that have been acting up or whatever, and you can't put them in a prison. They can shapeshift, all this other stuff. So you have to create kind of a unique place for them. So you create Westview where they get mentally controlled, and maybe there's somebody in there with mental powers doing it, or I don't know. It's not a fully formed theory, but the idea that the Hex was already existing and Wanda ended up going into it and getting taken over by whatever's going on and then willingly submitting to it could be a possibility. Maybe, the Vision isn't back at all. Maybe it's just part of the fantasy, and, it's the only problem with that is, and if, maybe Hayward didn't know Wanda was there, but he sent Monica there with the idea that she would then get caught up in the city, in the Hex, and become enveloped in it and not be able to escape and not be his problem anymore. She was gone. It was great. She's back. Here's a problem. Send him there where she can just get sucked in. And had Jimmy Woo not been standing there and not sucked in, then maybe it would have all gone to how he wanted it to. Again, just throwing that theory out there. I have no idea if it's plausible, but there's just so much going on. And it's hard to keep track of this whole show at this point. It's just so many different angles and aspects and things that could be going on that it's going to be fascinating not only to see what happens next, but how they tie all this stuff together and bring a satisfying conclusion. I mean, you can get as wild and crazy with the show as you want, but you've got to you've got to wrap it up. It's got to be a complete story. And we're entering the third act where a lot of big changes and stuff need to happen, but you need to have a satisfactory conclusion. And there has been a promise from, I don't remember if it was Shackman or the screenwriter, the showrunner, but they promised that the series will have a satisfactory ending. So, I'm hoping it doesn't go Game of Thrones, where everybody loves it, and then the ending just doesn't fit everybody's expectations. Hopefully we can keep those expectations in check, let the show tell the story it wants to tell and be happy with that. And, got another note here. Wow. Okay. It's pointless to guess. I am beyond certain Marvel is going to mind the story, any logic mind. Yeah, that's a lot of cursing up there. So I'm going to take that back off. But the basic point of it is by semi-story logic based on limited facts given so far, there's an angel in town who is under witness protection that more than likely has telepathic powers. Agent Wu is more than likely not aware of his abilities, or they would key to the town being erased. But Marvel is playing both sides once again. Well, okay. Is it pointless to guess? No. It's fun to guess. It's fun to try to figure out the story because people want to solve mysteries. That's the whole point of us watching mysteries, You watch Murder on the Orient Express and you want to figure out who the murderer is. You want the story told, but you also kind of want to guess and you want to figure it out. And that's part of human nature to try to solve puzzles that are put before us. This is a puzzle. So is it pointless to guess? I think the odds of anybody figuring it out exactly is almost impossible, but I wouldn't call it pointless. I mean, the whole, you get into the show, you want to figure out what's next, you want to guess. And if you've got like a history of comic knowledge, you got a good college knowledge, you're going to make guesses. You're going to see things and, maybe this guy is the Grim Reaper because the helmet showed up in episode 2 cartoon or, and he'd be perfect for bringing back a dead person, but, is Vision really dead? He's a synthetic android. There's a lot of pieces to play with. And I think in a lot of cases, Marvel is giving us a lot of pieces, but none of them are the edges. They're all centerpieces. We haven't gotten the framework exactly to build the outer edge, which is the first step of putting any puzzles together. You build the framework and then you put in the inside. And I don't know if we've gotten the framework yet. I think there's still edge pieces that we haven't gotten. And I'm hoping that like what we get is satisfactory, but there is a chance when you go this wild and this crazy that you don't stick the landing. So here's hoping they do. So midnight tonight, Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern. Trying not to mess up. I think it's Paul Story who watches at 3 a.m. and hates every time I say it's tonight because for him it's tomorrow. But I will be watching at midnight tonight. Well, probably like 12:04 because I want to give Disney a chance to get it up there. And then I'll probably watch it again. Last week I watched them back to back because it was like, what in the hell was that? And then I'll be tomorrow morning. I'll get up after doing my Friday Connery, I will post my review. So looking forward to it. And we'll see what happens next. Hey, got more from Steve here before I go. Again, too much cursing in his thing, so I won't put it up. But there are holes in Marvel's mind game with Wanda goes full-fledged wacko and brings about massive hate that burns the internet down with outrage. If Wanda remade Vision and he has no memory and is powerful or powered fully by her, the Vision would not have any free will to disobey Wanda on any level. And I agree with you on that. I've noticed that since the very beginning when we followed Vision to work, that he must have his own consciousness. He cannot just be a complete construct of Wanda, because he's getting his own narrative, just like the kids are getting their own narratives. So I believe that they are real, where Pietro doesn't get his own narrative. Agnes hasn't had her own narrative. So I think they have established the reality by following the people on their own. Vision is definitely real. Now, is he the Vision, I think, is the big question. I had originally in a theory that someone has been cast to play the Vision, and Wanda sees him the way she wants to see him, just like we saw Monica in 70s attire, and Agnes and all these people, Herb has in Halloween costumes and stuff. I think that it's possible that Vision has been cast by somebody in town, and it could be that that's who is the witness, and at least that's part of my theory, is that's the witness. And my guess was it was Simon Williams. That would make a lot of sense with the comic book history of the character, that the Vision is autonomous because, he's somebody special, but he's not the Vision. And I think the bones that we see in the second episode that's in between the house may be the actual remains of Vision that are hidden in the house. Maybe the kids will find it and really have some questions to start asking. Lots of fun places to go. Hopefully we'll have more information by the end of this 7th episode, and we can start making some really good theories, or we'll start getting some answers. Because I think at least the last episode, maybe the last 2, it's going to be more, according to Paul Bettany, more MCU style. So it's possible that it'll just suddenly become more of a big Marvel fight type, what we see in the movies, and they'll drop the sitcom angle altogether, which is kind of what I'm hoping. I think this has been great. I think it's been a great tool for telling the story, but I'd like to see them now put it aside and give us answers and go big with the last 2 episodes. So, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in. That is my thoughts. And again, we had the fun little clip this morning. So looking forward to the episode. Looking forward to talking to you all. We will be back on Sunday night with Pop Go the Writers. I have not set up a guest yet. Invited somebody, waiting to hear back. We'll see how that works out. But there will be Dan Taylor and Rosalinda Diaz and I talking about the episode, hopefully a 4th person. And we'll talk about both episodes 6 and 7, because we didn't have an episode last week. Also, I will be, some point this weekend, I'm going to review this, Batman's Soul of the Dragon, which I'll give you this quick snippet. It's a fun 70s style martial arts movie that just happens to have Batman in it for no apparent reason. So I'll give my full review later on. So I hope you all have a great Thursday. Talk to you later.